not the video I came out here to make today. It's a beautiful winter morning out here at one of my favorite creekside campsites. I'll talk more about this campsite a little later on. First of all, let me just back up because I'm not here to camp. I don't have camping gear. This was just a little day trip, and this morning I set off into a completely different area just to have a nice little day trip like I used to do with the Forester. All right, it's about 6:45. I just got everything loaded up into the truck. I usually make about 95% of my coffee at home, but on early morning departures, swinging by Starbucks saves me some time, and it kind of feels like a little treat to reward me for getting up early.
Some of you noticed this device in an earlier video and were thinking it might be a switch panel, but this is actually the new ScanGauge 3. This connects to the OBD2 port and allows you to monitor a wide array of vehicle systems, read check engine light codes, and, in my case, accurately track speed and gas mileage after accounting for oversized tires. This is not sponsored in any way. I bought this. I'll tell you more about it in a future video after I've used it a while longer. For the past few years, most of my excursions have taken me into Central Oregon, Eastern Oregon, and other states beyond, and I have driven past this Forest Service road countless times on my way to those distant destinations. This is not very far from home, but this is the first time I've ever actually driven up this road.
There is something kind of nice about coming out without having the pressure of finding a campsite, without having had to prepare everything for a camping trip. I'm gonna be honest, after my last little venture down a snowy trail by myself, I really was planning this trip to be as mild and mellow as possible, all on just sort of basic gravel roads, not getting up to very high elevation, well-established routes to some hiking trails. So I didn't think I would hit any snow. We've just had warm rain for the past 2 weeks in Eugene, and obviously we're at higher elevation here. I just didn't think that the snow was getting down quite to this elevation. We did hit a cold snap in the last couple of days, so what is up here is now like frozen and icy. Hopefully I can get to my destination. Ugh. I don't know, I don't like it. We're getting to spots where the road is just icy, sheets of ice. If we could get up into where it was just snow, the grip always feels better in the snow than on ice. I don't know how much more climbing I've got to do here. Okay, well, you know what? I think I'm gonna call it. Whoa. This is just really hard-packed, icy stuff. At least where there's some snow, I can get some grip. But in some of these spots under the trees where there's no snow, but the road has built up enough wet to be icy, it's just a sheet of ice. And I've got the winch and traction boards and shovel. But if you were to slide off into one of these kind of things, there's no way to self-recover. So it's not like just getting stuck on the side of the road. Okay, we're at 3,000 feet here. I was thinking this road didn't get up too high, but I didn't look super close. Looks like 4,000 feet is the high point, but that's another 1,000 feet up. It has changed dramatically just in the last 500 feet of elevation gain. I am not going to risk it out here by myself. I have an idea. I'm not far from one of my favorite areas to go and do quick overnighter camping trips. That area was within the burn map of the massive Cedar Creek fire last year. And I don't know if that area got completely demolished or if some of those spots are still okay there along that river I like to camp along. It's not far, so instead of today's trip, which included some hikes to some waterfalls, I'll save that for a little bit later in the year when the snow is gone. Now, would tire chains have helped me get up to my destination, another 1,000 feet up there? Possibly. In those kind of conditions, I think tire chains would have added some definite grip and security for sure. But here's the thing, I am not interested in going by myself into conditions where tire chains are necessary. And at the point where I have to be chaining up, it stops being fun. I'm out here, I want to have fun, I want to have a relaxing time. That was the point of this trip, not to mess around with tire chains. If you enjoy chaining up and going up into that stuff, good for you. I'm not going to do it. It's not what I want to do. I'll stick to the lowlands until I can get to the highlands again.
I'm proceeding with my alternate plan to see how badly one of my favorite areas up here burned in last year's fire, but along the way, something caught my eye.
So this is the little trail that goes to the campsite where I've camped with PNW Crosstrek and with Jason right after the Forester was totaled. And it is now blocked by these trees, but this isn't just stuff that fell. These are trees that are cut. And they've actually been placed here, blocking the trail. A few of the other little side roads that I've explored before down to campsites, I noticed on the way up, had boulders placed in front of them. So I'm wondering if they have just completely shut any possibility of camping along this creek down. And I wonder why. Now we're very close to areas that burned right here. This was all on fire. Over there on this side of the road, it looks like it did not burn. It's really wet down in there. The river sort of spreads out across the ground through there, and there's little streams that wind through the flats down in there. So it's not like there's danger of, you know, dead, burned trees falling on anyone down in here, because clearly it didn't burn down in there. Okay, looking again, I do notice that at least two of those campsites that have been bouldered off are very close to an actual established campground. And the National Forest rules for dispersed camping do very explicitly say you can't disperse camp within a mile of any established facility. There's another one bouldered off. So I guess that makes sense for at least a couple of those, although I've been seeing those spots for a few years now. Why all of a sudden can't use them anymore? So last year in 2022, the Cedar Creek fire just tore through a massive swath of the Willamette National Forest. According to the fire map, that fire burned several places that I've been to, that I've camped at, that I like to go back to because they're relatively accessible from home. This is the first time I've really poked up some of that burn area since the fire last year.
Rolling into the burn has a dramatic, almost otherworldly effect. On film, it kind of just looks like autumn, but this is largely a coniferous forest that is an impenetrable wall of green year-round. It's like some kind of Photoshop filter has been applied to the entire world around me, and with the normally dense undergrowth completely burned away, it's surreal to suddenly see through this forest, or really even just to see the ground at all. At a glance, this almost looks like a typical winter forest scene, except almost all those trees should look like this. I can't get the drone high enough to show the full extent of the entire Cedar Creek fire. This is just one relatively small pocket, and yet the destruction ranges as far as the eye can see. I'm coming up on another campsite I've returned to a few times for overnight trips. Let's see how it fared.
Well, this access road is blocked also, but these at least are trees that legitimately fell because they burned in the fire and died. I'm gonna walk down and see what the campsite looks like. This definitely all in the fire, just like the map said. This used to be all super dense Western Oregon forest that you could not see, 20 feet into. So when I first got the Forester, I used to go out on these little half-day exploration excursions. And that was even before I was doing any filming at all. I would take some photos, but I didn't shoot videos. I had no interest in shooting videos. I wanted to just sort of get back to my roots there with the way I would just go out and see what I could see in a half day.
Pushing up into areas I haven't explored before. The wildfire devastation continues everywhere I look. Finally, I found some side roads into the hills that escaped the fire.
I usually just come up here, grab a campsite along the creek, and then go home the next day. So I am taking the opportunity to explore a few little side roads and side trails that I've never actually driven up before. I did find one campsite I had not seen before that looks promising. I'm just gonna see what else I can find up some of these roads, at least until I run into snow. Takes me back to those days of when I would just pick a dirt road and drive and see what would happen. The map does show this road ending fairly soon, so that's okay. There's kind of a wide spot here. Actually, there's a little tiny little creek running down through here. This is actually not a bad little spot to camp. It's not so much the snow, it's just that it's really, really icy underneath it, and there's spots that are really slippery. I'm just gonna, it keeps going up. I'm just gonna stop, I'm not messing with it. No, I'm not stuck or anything. One of the things I wanted to accomplish today, as long as I was out and not in any super hurry, was to pull my winch line all the way out and wind it back on. It got kind of on there a little sloppy after my last recovery on the way to Jason's snow camp. The other thing is that I've never really seen this winch line pulled all the way out. I don't have a really strong sense of how long it is. I think it's 85 feet, 90 feet. But I'm not really good at visualizing distances like that. So I also want to pull it out, all the way out, just to see what 85 feet looks like. So I just have a sense of, oh, I can reach that tree, oh, I can't reach that tree. So let's see what happens here. Oh yeah, I do know about the recall on the wireless remote controller for the Warn VR Evo winches. The issue with these is that some corrosion can happen on a circuit board, which causes a short circuit. Basically, it can actually cause the winch to run when you're not actually trying to run it. I think it's pretty unlikely to happen if your controller hasn't got like rain or anything into it. For now, I'm paying attention to it. I can always take the batteries out when it's not in use to be safe. But if you have this winch with this controller, just be aware of that recall. So I'm looking at that tree right up there and wondering if I can reach it or not. Still a long ways from that tree. I think there's something to be said for carrying an extra length of winch line just in case you need to extend. Now, like many electric motor devices, the winch has a duty cycle. So it's only supposed to run for a certain amount of time and then allowed to rest for a certain amount of time. Now, I don't have that number right off the top of my head, and I don't know if that's as critical when there's not an actual load on the winch. It's not, you know, pulling the truck out of the snow or whatever. But, you know, I'm not going to take any chances. I'll let it rest. I'll run it. I'll let it rest. Another thing a lot of people asked me about on my previous recoveries was if I had used a tree strap. And yeah, I do have a tree strap from Yankum Ropes also, and a soft shackle from Yankum Ropes. in the heat of the moment, I didn't film every single detail of every single recovery, but yeah, I do have all of those things. I do also have this cast aluminum pulley device that Yankum Ropes sells also, and this allows the winch line to just slip through these grooves, so you can run the winch line out to a tree and around and back to your vehicle to basically essentially double the power of the winch if you need to. And that's a nice slick, no moving parts approach. Yankum Ropes is a partner of the channel. This is a company I really like. They're based in Idaho. They make all of this stuff in the USA. Their gear is used by Casey Liddell and Matt's Off-Road Recovery. I do have a discount code you can use, softroadingthewest, all one word. When you use that code, it will take some money off of your purchase, and it also actually benefits the channel and helps me keep this thing going so I can get out here and make these videos for you guys. Well, today didn't go quite according to plan, but that's okay. I'm actually happy with how the day turned out. It was interesting to get up into this burn area and see what actually got burned and what didn't get burned. Some disappointing discoveries with some campsites that were clearly deliberately closed by the Forest Service, but also some nice discoveries and a few new campsites that I didn't know about that will make some good spots to come back for little overnighters. And it was good to take care of some of the stuff I needed to do with the winch. Now it is time to air up and head home.